The band played and we were dancing, but to whose tune today? That was the big question. Destination the Ali Canaan, 180 kilometres. The wind was blowing out there, but as to what impact would it have, we were not sure. The wind itself coming in from the northwest, but swirling around the mountains, giving a bit of impetus to a breakaway early on. They cut through the mountains and then headed to the interior before heading back to the opposite coast, and indeed our finale today. Arrow straight for the last 3 kilometres, anything but out on the course. Altimetry kind of looked like a serious mountain peak at the beginning. Well, it was going through a mountain pass, so not exactly alpine, but nonetheless something of a challenge. Who would take up that? Well, it was 2 riders that went for it. Dora Duric of Team Solution Tech Vini Fantini were one of those, joined by Michael Leonard from Ineos Grenadiers. Quite frankly, I think just wanted the exercise on the day, early season and all that, testing out his own form. The gap, well, it went to a quite sizable 4 3/4 minutes. And indeed, the intermediate sprint was uncontested, the opening one of the 2 on the day. Duric gladly absorbing that, indeed adding 8 points to his existing tally, and indeed that black jersey belonging to him. Meanwhile, the wind was blowing and splits were occurring. Tadej Pogačar and UAE Team Emirates were part of the driving force that pushed on. What was the impact? Well, some of those who would be thinking about the overall classification were found in the wrong groups. 2s and 3s, well, at 6s and 7s I think you might say. Out front, a group of about 15 riders, including some of the sprint favourites for today, some isolated without their teammates around them, including Jasper Philipsen of Alpecin-Deceuninck. This was a brutal day to say the very least. Second intermediate sprint was about to present itself, and the question is, once we'd had this regathering, who would go off the front and contest that? Riders all over the place, minds and strategies were shredded. Tarozzi it was that kicked off from Group Bardiani CSF and had to be joined almost immediately by Vini Fantini. They went up the road, Duric himself was there, Sbaragli had also made the trip. Well, where was the black jersey? That was the big question. Zamudio in that, well, he drifted back with Tarozzi. Tarozzi himself had been an animator, leaving 2 out front for Vini Fantini. And then, just as we thought that sprint competition for the last places had indeed been decided, Duric had now amassed 24 points. Well, it was a pickup yet again, but it was all the way to the drive for the line. The big groups that had been cast asunder re-managed to get themselves back together with 27 kilometres to go. The pace was very, very high. Nudges with too many riders bunched together on some of the transitions meant that we found some upon the deck, unfortunately. From bad to worse it seemed for some, but thankfully they remounted and it was all about the sprint finale. Who would be up there? Well, again some splits were starting to show themselves as the impetus was a part of that drive for the line. The wind today playing absolute havoc with everybody. Sometimes it's not the wind itself but just the threat of it which causes worriment. Well, Jasper Philipsen again finding in the front group, his teammates behind him. Tadej Pogačar looking for some spare time, again just punishing those who would challenge him for the overall lead. In the end, the gaps were indeed sealed once more. We had a bunch sprint in the offing, and with 3.2 kilometres to go, just 2 roundabouts to negotiate, and then arrows straight to the line. The question is, pecking order, as far as the sprinters is concerned, had been adjusted. Whose legs had been tired out there? Welsford wanted a part of the day. The trident, though, of Tim Merlier, the European champion, Jonathan Milan of Lidl Trek were in a good position, and indeed Jasper Philipsen, who was slightly out of position at the very last. He's a big man, he was delivered beautifully, and Jonathan Milan hit the front, but could he hold on to it? That was the big question. Lots of heads nodding at this point with 150 metres to go. He still had the advantage over the European champion, Tim Merlier. Jasper Philipsen finding some space late on. Whoa, it was tight. And I've got to tell you as well, great riding by Dan McClay in the absence of Olaf Koy from Visma Lease Bike. But it was all about Lidl Trek with a little advantage at the end. They did the job. Green jersey now well and truly on the shoulders of Jonathan Milan. Another stage win for Milan. Great for him, great for the green jersey competition as well. A precocious Tadej Pogačar had been busy once again, just causing worriment about just about everybody out there. He still leads with 18 seconds going into another sprint day tomorrow. It was glorious out there. The winds were a factor. The intermediate sprint battle was superb. More tomorrow.